But I'm here today to tell you just the facts. I'm not going to, I have an opinion and I've already made it clear what my progressive ideas are, but I just want to help you understand when you hear things, what the facts behind those things you hear are. And I think it's very important. So the first thing I wanted to cover here is the Second Amendment. We have a gun issue in our country because we have a Second Amendment that has been interpreted in a rather interesting way. So start with the exact wording of the Second Amendment, which starts with a well-regulated militia, and then it says being necessary to the security of a free state. And then it says the right of the people to keep and bear arms, and then shall not be infringed. Well, first of all, no other section of the Constitution of the United States justifies the law that it makes. It simply describes the law, defines it. But in the Second Amendment, these guys actually had to work pretty hard to determine what they wanted to say and what they wanted to leave with us. So they did say that this was for the purposes of a militia and that it was for the state, not for any other body. And the right of the people throughout the entire conversation, individuals are declared to be individuals, and the people is the people as a group. So the intention to make this an individual right doesn't seem to actually be there. And then shall not be infringed. So for many years, this was interpreted as the right of a state to have a militia, armed militia, so that as a state, it had a certain level of sovereignty. And we did not foresee nor desire a national army. But we got one anyhow, because as it turns out, you pretty much need one nowadays. But I want to point out that what is not in the Second Amendment is to keep the state in line. A lot of people think that's what it's for, so that we can protect it from government intrusions, but there's nothing in there that says that at all. There's nothing about self-defense or defending your household in the Second Amendment. There's nothing about hunting in the Second Amendment. There's nothing about collecting guns or protecting your private property. There's nothing about smithing or manufacturing guns, being a specialist at it. And there's nothing in it about any arms at all that anybody wants. But there are many things that we have no stated right in the Constitution that we can have. Don't say we can have a house or a knife, cars, computers. Computers are much more subversive than guns. If you want to overthrow a state, you don't need guns, you need computers and a bunch of liars at the end of the line there that tell people all kinds of funny things. But nobody worries about that stuff being taken away from us. So let's look at what this current interpretation from the National Rifle Association is costing us, which says that everybody has the right to any arm they want and with no questions asked. No other country in the world faces the carnage that we do, and we bring it all on ourselves. Does anybody think, by looking at this chart, that what we have is a well-regulated militia? I simply ask that as a question. So what does it mean in real terms? Well, I have here 5-year average from the Brady Foundation talking about gunshots and deaths. On the average year, 115,500 and some people get shot, and 38,826 of them die. And just because you didn't die doesn't mean you don't have a miserable life from then on. And then I just went to the statistics and looked up the list, gave you a list of cities that are between 38 and 39,000 population. And we wipe out a city of this size every year. That's what's happening. That's what this interpretation costs us, and it never did before. And none of the other countries that do have plenty of guns have this kind of a problem. And what about self-defense? Well, you know, most self-defense users are people using guns in an argument. And the Harvard School of Public Health, the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health did extensive research on the purported 1 to 2 million times a year that the Heritage Foundation, and somebody should do a speech on the Heritage Foundation because you don't want to hear that from me. Anyhow, and most of it is people intimidating other people. The truth of the matter is, Kellerman, the most respected of all the scientists who studied this problem, and he got fired for his work, came up with this. Every time a gun is used in the home or for self-defense or legally justifiable shooting, for every one of those events, there are 4 unintentional shootings. There are 7 criminal assaults or homicides, think domestic violence, okay? And there are 11 attempted or completed suicides. So having a gun in your home has a 22 times likelihood of hurting you as it does of protecting you. Those are just the facts. Do with them what you will. Madam Toastmaster.